So I just spent the last 10 minutes trying to take off this seat. There's 3 nuts here at the front and the back. I was trying to figure out how to take it off, and I know there's a bunch of levers, and I'm like, this has to be an intricate ambulance. And then I found out there's this right here, and you pull it up and it slides and clicks into place all along this track, and I'm assuming it just slides right off the edge there. Let's see if that works. Okay, now it's stopping. If I take that off, it should slide right out. Okay, like I said, I'm not sure the last clip you guys saw, but it was us taking apart this pretty unique build we're doing. It already is a veterinarian clinic, it's a retired ambulance. We're doing upgrades instead of running water. I mean, the electrical system in this is pretty unique, but it's not off-grid whatsoever for the most part, and there's no plumbing or running water. So, any differences? This whole side is clear. We got all the gross, yucky floor up. I think this was hollowed out with some tracks for, what's it called? The gurney to come in place. You remove that, filled that in, and we are about to lay some penny floor. Got the penny floor laid out on the ground. Obviously, shop is a mess right now. That is how a shop should look when you're working. A messy shop's a busy shop. Yeah, we're just pre-taping, and then we're gonna be using an adhesive to put the penny floors down. So the adhesive we use, it's a non-flammable, pretty much sticks to anything. It's called QGA P32C. It's a non-flam, high temp. It's called Tensor Grip. I believe you get this from Richelieu. What you want to see, it comes in a pre-charged canister. This stuff's good because you don't need an actual like spray booth or anything to spray it, and it can be sprayed without proper ventilation. Anyways, not sure how much we're gonna film. Like I said, our priority is to work. I just thought it'd be fun to pick up the camera, film some things for any of you who have an ambulance out there or want to see the process of certain things we do. Like I said, the next step is to put down this penny floor. I already got the template cut, measured. We're gonna give it some nice new factory floor, and this stuff is like industrial grade. It's durable. You can dump any sort of pet bodily fluids, water, whatnot, and it's going to be easy to clean, durable, and it'll actually give the dog some grip on their paws, like this guy right here. You like the floor, Finn? Is it grippy? He doesn't care.
It's off.
You want to show them our new work attire?
Oh.
You got me. Alright, so Maddie's just been taping off and masking all of the surrounding areas for when we spray the adhesive. There probably will be some overspray in the stuff. You do not want to get it on anything, not even your skin. And then we're also removing all the old, just loose adhesive that was once on these floors, put these floors down. Like I said, this stuff pretty much sticks to anything. You want to get it scuffed and clean, but it does not have to be perfect. Alright, we got their floor test fit. Obviously, there's some bubbling in it, but that'll be adhered down. Now we're kind of running into just a problem of putting this in is going to be challenging, because you have to adhere both sides as one whole sheet.
I think I know what to do.
Maddie thinks she knows what to do.
Think we somehow get it to be adhered to this first, and then we like roll it, hold it up from like this side and go down.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be in it.
We can't do it this way.
No.
Because of that.
Or we can adhere it to this side first.
No, because this is gonna become a problem. I think we have to start with this lip.
Yeah. We'll be back and figure out what we're gonna do. All right, so for those of you curious right now, we're gonna finish this off with the time lapse. This is the easiest way we figured to put it on, kind of doing it in sections, rolling wise. We want to do the whole floor in one piece because that looks the best, there's no seams. But for this stuff, you have to let it cure. So you have to put it on both sides. Mainly it'd be used, let's say laminate. You put it on the sub counter. If you're putting it on the countertop and then the laminate sheet itself, you let them both sit for about 2 to 3 minutes. You don't actually want them to be really sticky anymore, and you'll be shocked. Once they're together, they are not coming apart. This stuff has worked great for any vinyl floors. Whenever you work with laminate, I mean anything, even fabrics, they make a different version. But anyways, enjoy the rest of this time lapse and us struggling. All right, it's a new day. The penny floor went down. It looks great. Came back in this morning. We're just gonna leave this one section some weight on it, just because that was it's a high traffic area and it has that bend too, so we don't want to mess around with that. Maddie's gonna start laying out running some electrical wires, and then around here I've just been spending the day deciding on where to do the electrical, and I think the smartest place going to be this outside cavity. There was already a stock battery there. I actually removed the tray and I slid the battery to the right, and the diesel heater exhaust thing is actually going to run through there. It's one of the only spots to access the outside, and it's close to the tank to directly connect. And then all this electrical is going to go in this area, and all the wires will be coming from the top. It is vented. We're going to have this section heated as well. So yeah, time to do the electrical, my favorite part. All Victron components. We'll go into a bit more depth of what we're actually using. All right, so what you saw me just do there was a whole rethinking of my decision of where I'm locating this. I mean, there's room at the back for it to go and be pushed back. My reasoning for not wanting to put anything on this side where the drill's sitting, so that's where I'm gonna have the heater go. And then if it's super far back, it's gonna be a pain to wire and actually access. So I'm thinking there are these built-in shelves here, and I'm putting the batteries. They can definitely take the load. They're rated for like 500 pounds a shelf. There is room here. I think I'll put all up there, the charge controller and everything like that. So there's really no need to use that space back there. I do want to keep it open for future batteries. So I think this is how we're gonna go with it. All right, the next item we're installing is a power in. Now we do have to do some modifications to this. You can get a Lynx distributor that actually comes with fuse studs in here to actually put fuses on here. Pretty much everyone in the world at this point just buys the power in and modifies it to hold fuses, because it's like an extra 150 bucks for the one that holds fuses, and it's about $5 in hardware to make it hold fuses. Now there is a reason for the Lynx distributor. It has a motherboard in here, not a motherboard, pretty much a chip in here and a little electrical component that makes these lights light up when a fuse is blown. But then you need a power in as well as the shunt that goes in the middle, and it's a whole kind of proprietary system that isn't needed and doesn't actually work for some cases when you're doing a van conversion. These are nice. Pretty much, long story short, we're making this into one big fancy bus bar. So now when I tell people, if you have 20 things you're putting onto a battery terminal, you don't do that. You don't just hook everything up to a battery terminal. Your batteries will connect to this, and then your DC terminal for all your 12 volt appliances will be fused to this. Anything big like an AC will be fused to this. Pretty much everything. Your inverter will be fused to this. So this is pretty much a hub for fuses and where you're pulling your power from. Obviously this isn't a battery. It's a fancy battery terminal, if you will. So we're gonna quickly modify this with some M8 hardware. Not gonna be a how-to video. There is plenty of them online. Alright, I'm going to take a second to figure out where I'm going to mount everything. There's some things to keep in mind when working with these. One of them, this is the Orion, so this is your DC to DC charger. It can pull up to 40 amps off the alternator and charges your house battery bank, your auxiliary battery bank. Keep in mind those get pretty hot, so you need some ventilation. They have the fins in the back to flow through them. I wanted to put it here. There's enough room for the door to close, but I'm just worried it's gonna be too close to this, so I think I'm gonna put it up here, and then everything else will be fine to go here. That's not a big concern. All right, I don't know if you can see behind me, I have most of it mounted. I'm doing most of it on that wall space because I'm still gonna give him some access to those cubbies, even though he doesn't use it. There's a lot of space in there. He can put a really mean electrical system if he wants in there already. At the moment it's 300 to 400 amp hours. Just gonna do some more math on what he actually needs. It doesn't have too much of a power draw, but we're putting in a really good system. So all Victron, and he's gonna have the servo with the touch screen and everything. So yeah, just gotta find the spot for the servo. This is pretty much the brains for the whole system. There's a lot of communication ports, USBs, Ethernets, VE direct cables in here. And pretty much what this does, this goes in pair with, well, it's not a box, but it looks like a little iPad. It's a touch screen. So this will show you connecting a bunch of wires up to here and all your components, connected up to your charge controller, your inverter, temperature sensors, battery sensors, water tank sensors, everything, and this will all relay the information onto the screen, and that's how you get that fancy screen, and you'll see everything up to kind of what you're drawing, how fast you're charging, discharging, your AC or DC input, your shore power, everything like that. So just gotta find a spot to mount this strategically, because there's a lot of cords that go to all different units, so it's probably gonna be central. And then I'll explain why it shows all the spots to mount everything and where I did. Alright, that was quick, but that was the easiest part of all of electrical, is laying things out. Wiring is the most tedious part, and Maddie is currently doing the running of wires, the headache. So when you have a van that's already built, it's quite tough to run wires. But good thing in this van, a lot of the paneling is removable. So we're fishing a lot of the wires from the ground up. And there's actually not that many wires that are needed. In this area, there's a few outlets, the water pump, and it's nice because they can all run up along the wall, and there's all factory trim pieces that go right back into place. But yeah, look at all this room here. So this is the outside cabinet you see on the outside with the vents, all louvers here. So this is fully vented, and it also actually gets vented outside there. So I'm not worried about ventilation in this box where I have the electrical. And all the wire, we're just going to drill down through into this box. Same with the solar going on this roof, it's going to come through here. As you can see, the builders of this ambulance did the same thing. Come on, let's go. I mean, I guess it's a good thing. Our shop dog, call him a shop dog, Finn, but he's our dog. He lives with us. He just spends, every time we're at the shop, he's at the shop. He sits at the stairs and just stares at us. Obviously, has to go outside, go pee, or go to the washroom. But, like, I mean, he's a barker when anyone's here. I'm shocked he doesn't bark when he has to go to the washroom. He'll just sit there and just death stare you. Gotta go outside? Okay, go pee. Is it weird? My favorite time to like work in the past year owning a business, my favorite season I guess to work is like when it starts turning winter, because when you're working you feel like you're not missing out on all the nice weather outside. But the one depressing thing is it gets dark at like 4 o'clock. It's almost 4 and you can tell it's already starting to get dark. And every time he goes, he tries to wander as further and further each time. And he's going pee. Good boy. Come on, inside. Pretty much just gonna wire everything I can. So the charge controller, the Orion, the DC fuse box, put everything to here. Then we'll wire up the inverter to that. That's what we're gonna do there. Depending on the situation, you obviously use certain gauge wires. I always like to kind of max out these charge controllers and Orions. I believe they can take a 6 gauge, so that's what we use for that. And for running, getting lengths of wires, my technique I like to use is go into our bucket of scraps, grab a scrap piece of wire, and then use this thin stuff, just a 12 gauge, to take measurements. So you're not wasting wire, because this stuff, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than this. And it is definitely cheaper when you're doing your long lengths. Somewhere here, we need our fuses. So these are the mega fuses that actually go in the Victron. Some of them are A&L. These are all the mega fuses. And these are A&L style. We need a separate fuse holder for those. They got our lugs organized. These, I swear, you think you only need a few, and then before you do a van build, like, this is gone. It's pretty ridiculous, but we need to get a 60 amp here, if I can find it. There it is. Alright, now once we have the end, only one of these needs a lug on it. That goes on to the power in. And then the other end just goes into the charge controller, so no lug goes on that. It's just tightened and a little clamp on the unit itself. So you just have to strip it to the end for some bare wire. A little too big. Make sure she's nice and tight. Get a little torch. One down, a lot more to go. All right, something I'm doing here is drawing out where my electrical is gonna go. I mean, I don't do it in depth as much as I used to, but after you do, I mean, 10, 20 electrical systems, I mean, one of the things I work on at the moment is just trying to make it as clean as possible. And at the beginning, it is hard. It's hard to struggle with that. You start wiring things up and you're like, crap, these two wires need to cross each other. I mean, it doesn't affect the functionality of the system, but just my OCD and the way it looks, I like for it to look nice. So what I'm doing right now is I am gonna label the power in, and where the charge controller, the Orion, and the fuse box and the inverter, they all need to link up to it, but I don't want any of them crisscrossing. So they're all gonna have, there's about 4 places for a fuse to go, and I'm gonna run the wires so none of them crisscross. Sometimes there's no way around it, but if you really think out where you put each unit, there should be a way around it, and then it looks nice. You can zip tie them all together. Anyways, that's what I'm doing right now. So normally I suggest actually taping everything out and drawing, okay, you need a red and a black wire, and drawing it out. I mean, I'm past that point. I don't really need to do that anymore. Just it helps to look at where everything is going. So this one's closest, the red and black are going to come into the solar. This one will be coming in next. It'll go on the left side of it, it won't cross. the Orion, left side of it won't cross, and the inverter's coming up to the bottom. This middle one here is just a ground wire. So like I said, that one is kind of inevitable. I'm gonna run it under the mall, and that one will have to get grounded to the chassis. But just a little tip I like to do. I'm not ashamed to show it. My first wire, first mistake. I made it too short. It's not gonna bend in there properly the way I need it. So here goes a few bucks in wire and lugs and shrink wrap. That's the name of the game. It's the stuff I'm gonna be showing you guys. All right, we got the 60 amp in there. It is a 50 amp, 100/50 charge controller, 100 volt 50 amp. We're not gonna be going anywhere near that. I have this upsize. So I have a 60 amp mega in there. That's gonna be more than enough. I mean, rule of thumb, you're supposed to upsize it around 25%. This is gonna be fine. You're putting the lug on. You want this to connect to this plate of the fuse, and then put your lock washer and nut. You do not want to have that in between, so make sure that's flat, and then tighten her up. All right, one more tip. Scrap wire comes in handy, that basket. The reason you keep it, I mean, wire's not cheap. I have some wire here that's like 11 bucks a foot. That's Canadian prices for all you people. So these are actually the harnesses I get in for Dometic RTX ACs. And inside, I believe it's a 2 gauge. Yeah, it comes stock with a 2 gauge red and black. Now normally the end of this would get cut out, but I am actually going to use this instead of opening a whole new roll of 2 gauge. This is going to get used because it's just a little run I have to do, and it's not often I use this gauge wire. It's usually 12 gauge is 99% of the van running all the appliances, which some say might be still a little bit overkill, but like I said, it's always safer to go bigger. If you're always concerned about something, go bigger. Last thing you want to do is wire something a size too small and it's pulling too many amps and volts and you are having a fire. That is not fun. Anyways, I am harvesting this for a little run I have to do for the DC panel. Yeah, don't use this wire too much. Some people might say, well, this is huge for batteries. The battery systems I use are pretty much like 300 to 800 amps, and you're using anywhere from like 1/0 all the way up to like 4/0 weld cable for that. It's a lot bigger than this. All right, here's the progress for today. We gotta head out early. It's now 5 o'clock, but I got everything mounted. This feels like you got a lot done. I mean, I guess I did, but that's the easy part. Running all the wires is when it's hard to keep clean. Obviously these are just gonna be loose. Once I have all the wires ran here, I will put them together and fasten a zip tie to them and have them mounted and secured. You don't want all these moving around. Home time. Wanna go home, Finn? Let's go home, come on. Let's go home. Maddie's laughing at me right now.
Vancini out.
Oh my gosh, they just saw the passcode.
There's no passcode.
Look at the rig. This is our company van we've been slacking on building because we're building all of our clients. But the exterior's done. Tour to come, but we're even in the festive season. Got the Christmas lights up there. Anyways, we're going home. I'm gonna end this video here. I'm not sure if this is a 3-minute video or a 25-minute video. Like I said, we're just picking up the camera, recording. We're not doing how-tos, just kind of day in the life of a van conversion shop. Yeah, if you guys like it, leave a like. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I'm sure these are gonna get better as I go on. I'm a bit rusty, please forgive me. We're going home.